Come on in and sit down. You cut the hardcore crew chewing the fat. You cut us shooting the shit. You cut us in the moment.
So I don't know, guys. Daniel Bryan's been off for pretty much almost a year, and now he's back in action on tonight's on SmackDown. A lot of people wasn't sure if he was coming back. We even thought that he was going to pretty much be retired altogether, and yet here he is this year, you know, getting ready to not only go to do the Rumble, but he claims that he's going to go all the way to WrestleMania to win the title again. What are your thoughts about this, Lance?
Well, I'll put it like this, man. The Rumble is probably, I know they say, Hell in a Cell is the most dangerous match, or Chamber's the most dangerous. No. You're more likely to get hurt, and more people have gotten hurt in Rumbles than either of those two matches. So, could he go on to WrestleMania? Yes, if he comes out of the Rumble unscathed.
Okay. Mike, welcome to our show In the Moment. Now, a lot of people really think that he should, Daniel Bryan should be the one who wins the Rumble and goes all the way to WrestleMania. The fact that he's been out of the picture for almost a year, do you think that Daniel Bryan should be the one who wins it?
Well, see, a lot of the people that are saying Daniel Bryan should be the one to win are the people that are, who just despise Roman Reigns and they're, hold up their internet darlings. But I don't know. I mean, from a business standpoint, if you're gonna, and it all really does depend too who's going to be the champion going into Mania. If it's still going to be Lesnar, I don't like Daniel Bryan fighting Lesnar. It just doesn't, for me, it's just not believable. And I'd rather have Reigns, but at the same time, I like Daniel Bryan more, so I'm a little conflicted.
Well, okay, James, you know what? Mike does bring up a very good point about the Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan match. And a lot of people thought about doing a Lesnar versus Bryan match. There were rumors about that before Daniel Bryan got injured. So maybe they're trying to hold off for that. What do you think about that?
I don't think Daniel Bryan's the right opponent for Brock Lesnar, because basically if you have Daniel Bryan win against Brock Lesnar, then you're basically hurting Lesnar a lot. The fact, he's been on this high since 2014 of breaking the streak, being the champion.
What streak? He's only wrestled 2 matches.
The Undertaker streak.
James, if I may,
yes.
Who cares? His contract's up after Mania.
Well, that's true, but at the same time, it's like, looking at a fan's perspective, I don't think Bryan's the right opponent, because also the fact is that Lesnar hurts people.
Yeah,
that is another point I did want to bring up. Brock Lesnar is not exactly one of the greatest workers in the ring. That's in the ring. When he's in the ring, he has hurt people in the past. And considering that Daniel Bryan, let's be honest, is just coming off a severe injury, you don't want to put him in a guy with Brock Lesnar, despite that they're doing, that kind of scenario, which would be a good scenario, and I think it would be great if you had somebody who was a better worker like The Undertaker, who has never really injured a lot of people, who's been known to be a great worker, but unfortunately The Undertaker is a little bit past that, age. So, yeah, let's move on to something a little bit different. TNA has now moved over to Destination America, or as I like to call it, Destination Unknown. A lot of, they really put a lot of their time and money and effort into this. And TNA officials were upset about the 263,000 viewership numbers that were being reported by the Impact Wrestling debut this past week. And by the numbers reports that Impact, they drew a .01 for adults and 18-14 ratings. They even drew on the buzzer ships 359,000. Even after the replays, they didn't even hit 500,000 in the viewerships. Now, I don't know why TNA is so upset, because they knew that when they were moving to this channel, that their ratings were going to go down by half, because only half of America has access to these channels. And it was such a mistake. However, the TNA officials said they were said to be serious about making an impact to wrestling as an alternative to WWE and not the same kind of show. After the booking, the New York tapings, they want to be able to program to evolve, and what is aired as on Spike TV. They want to make it more important. And I'm listening. I'm reading this article, and I'm shaking my head. Your viewerships are down, but you want to compare yourself as a real, as a real alternative to WWE. Does this make any sense, guys? Lance, over to you.
Absolutely not. It's like going, say you're somebody who owns a CNN news station or something. That's like saying you're expecting the same guy, that whoever runs CNN or something, and a show from CNN, and all the millions, because everybody pretty much says CNN, I think we'd all agree, and then taking a show from there, moving it to a local TV station in a local market, and it's within the same viewership. It ain't gonna happen. You're not gonna get the same amount of viewers going from a national audience to, let's say, half or a local audience, which is basically what they've done.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that they are only doing one show a week, and they're doing some other show, I think it's like the replays of TNA, which they're calling the best of, which nobody really has any interest in. And where WWE has 2 or 3 different shows a week, not to mention the WWE Network, they're just hammering them with content. It's unreal, It makes absolutely no sense to me. James, over to you.
This is the point in time I would insert a Shawn Michaels laugh, but because I don't want to get the show kicked out of YouTube again, I would not play it.
Stop it.
With the viewership, but when you switch to a network that has not even half of America is available to as was Spike TV, well, no, hell, I mean, that your viewership's gonna drop tremendously. I mean, that's just obvious.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to something else a little bit. Speaking of WWE, this past Monday we learned that Randy the Macho Man Savage has been inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame. And we were over in Billy's show, WGSTV, and there was a little bit of a conflict conversation we had going on as to when we found out that Hulk Hogan was going to be inducting him. And this was a really interesting conversation because some of us agreed, some of us felt that Hulk Hogan should induct him, while others felt that others should not induct him. And funny thing was, Lanny Poffo, Randy Savage's brother, actually spoke on this over at SportingNews.com, and he pretty much just said this. He goes, "I think it's fantastic that Hulk Hogan is going to induct him for the it makes a great opportunity speech, and if he would like to make amends, that would be fine. But I think it's good that Hulk has the opportunity. In a perfect world, Randy should be giving his own speech, but whoever gives his speeches, I just hope we do him justice." So, in short, Lanny Poffo, I think he just wants the whole thing to be, put his brother, give his brother justice for the fans. And I think that really says it all, guys. James, what's your thoughts?
I think really it's like, people bitch and moan. It's like, oh, it's Hogan. Why is he inducting him? I mean, but as you said, this is for the fans. This is why he's let the whole thing through anyway. I mean, he wanted the whole family in, but, the fans just wanted the Macho Man because we all know that the Macho Man is the best known of the whole family. So, I don't care who it was. I don't care if it's Hogan or anybody.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Mike, over to you. Your thoughts.
I don't really see the issue. And the minute, early in the day when it was rumored, but once we heard it was rumored, we know it was going to happen, that he was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, the first person that come to mind is Hulk Hogan. I mean, there were the mega powers, and it's just, I don't understand why they'd have an issue. I mean, unless there's something I'm completely missing, but I just don't see why there's an issue with it. I really don't.
Well, the issue is that they actually, Hulk Hogan and Macho Man, had a lot of personal issues after their wrestling career. After Macho got out of the ring, apparently they did not like each other. There was actually even they had a lot of internet fights, similar to what Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior had.
Oh.
So that's pretty much why. But I mean, I think the way Lanny started is now that once Randy passed away, I think he just said, hey, let's bygones be bygones and let's put everything to rest and, make his peace. And I think that's the way he saw it.
Yeah, I still say Hogan's still the right guy. It's just, you think about that era, who else would you have picked? You're not gonna, you can't have Warrior induct Macho Man. He's gone. So it's like, who else would you have picked?
Yeah, and I think the only other person that probably would make sense is to maybe have Jake Roberts do it, maybe. But, I mean, again, they didn't have that much of a feud. Maybe I'd like to see Lanny do it, but I think Lanny Poffo, as much as he wants to have his brother inducted, I don't think he would do it himself because he just his brother wanted the whole Poffo family in, so he feels like it's like, look, I'm giving you enough, but I can't do it. He can't have nothing to do with it.
Won't his brother technically be the one accepting the induction on his behalf, though?
No. This is specifically just for Randy Savage. That's the whole thing.
Because normally, when there's an inductor, even if someone's passed away, their family comes out and accepts the induction.
Usually they do, but I think in this case, Randy Poffo just didn't. I'm sorry, excuse me, Lanny Poffo wanted nothing. Oh. He made that clear that he'd give his blessing, but he didn't want nothing to do with the induction. Okay, and Lance, over to you.
Well, I think it's complete horse shit that they're having Hogan do it. Because, as you said, and as I said on WGSTV, these two guys hated each other. And normally, in a Hall of Fame situation, the guy the presenter, if you will, the guy who's going into the Hall of Fame gets a choice of who he would have to present him. And do I think he would have chosen Hulk Hogan? Hell no, because as I said, they hated each other. I do have a better alternative. Probably the guy that Macho Man had probably his greatest match against, or is considered a great, especially since this is around WrestleMania, this is going to be the night before WrestleMania. How about the guy who he had probably his greatest match, and definitely his greatest match at WrestleMania against? The Dragon, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Steamboat would have been a nice pick too as well, but I think the way they'd seen it is because Hogan was more of a lengthier feud. If you look between WWE and WCW and the NWO, and I think that's throughout their career. I don't deny that their match that they had at WrestleMania 3 was legendary, and that will forever be probably one of the greatest matches of WrestleMania. But if you look at everything at all, you got to kind of say, yeah, Hulk Hogan had a little bit more. I mean, he was in Randy's corner when Randy won his first, World WWF Championship. Like I can't say WWE. Back then it was a WWF. I don't care who you are.
I still flow up and say F.
So, and then, absolutely, like I said, there was the Mega Powers, that huge feud that followed afterwards. There's just so much history that they had. So, but you know what, guys? I think we've pretty much beat this guy into death, and now we want to, of course, your opinion. What do you think? Make sure you put your comments in the comment section below. But before we move on, we have Lance Moss's Controversies and Scandals. Lance, what do you got?
Well, this one just happened here recently. I'm talking less than a month ago. It is the Nash family Christmas Eve fight. I'm sure you all heard about this. Wrestling star Kevin Nash, or wrestling superstar, Kevin Nash was arrested early Christmas Eve morning after getting into a bloody fight with his 18-year-old son Tristan. And this is all from TMZ. The 55-year-old wrestler, who is currently under contract with WWE, was taken into custody in Wasilla County, Florida, after cops received a call about domestic incident just after midnight. When the cop arrived to the scene, they saw Nash had Kevin's face was bloody and noticed blood on Kevin's face, and he was promptly arrested. 2 hours later, they received a 911 call claiming that Tristan attacked his mother and was arrested for the battery. Both men were booked and held without bond, but have since been released. And, well, you guys' thoughts?
Well, I think we've all pretty much heard the story. I think anybody who's been on our Facebook page or even listened, a wrestling fan knows these stories. I think what it is that Kevin Nash, I think, was not really the aggressor, but he was arrested as the aggressor, if I'm not mistaken. Meanwhile, I think he was arguing with his son, if I'm not mistaken, the article says, about his girlfriend, or, about his girl, spending too much time with his girl who he didn't approve that he was spending time with. He'd come home drunk, the son, and Kevin and Nash just kept on arguing, and somehow it erupted into a fight where the son pretty much started hitting him, and Nash had pinned him. And after he pinned him, the kid had scratched his face. This is where Kevin Nash apparently had picked him up and choke slammed him. The kid had blacked out, and apparently, I don't know if the mother called the cops or whatever. The cops arrive, see the kid, pretty much almost out. Nash tells them the story. Nash is arrested just for that. And I don't know if they was said that was because that. Somebody said that, I think it was TMZ that made up the story about him hitting the mother. Because I went over onto the Tristan Nash Music, which is Tristan's YouTube channel, and he claims that he had never hit his mother, and that TMZ made that up. This is what he says. Do you understand that TMZ makes up about all the material? I would never hurt my mother, and fuck anyone who thinks that. Just because I fought my dad. Now, he never denies he fought his dad. He never denies anything else. The only thing he denies about hitting his mother. James, your thoughts?
Well, I think last night Nash tweeted that the charges against him are now dropped. And basically, it's like just one of those weird stories. I feel like, it involves alcohol. That's all you need to say.
Not necessarily alcohol, but I think it's also it's a family issue that kind of got out of hand, and it sucks. Exactly. As a father, I don't think I would ever want to be in that situation. Mike, over to you.
Family issues are always bad, and it's not something I paid too much attention to because I didn't really feel like it was my business. But from what I heard, if his son came in drunk, and if, let's say he did hit his mom, I would think Nash would have the right to stop his son. But now, if he went to the force of which was said choke slamming his son, and what did he say, he blacked out or something? Did I hear that correctly? Then Nash should be at fault too. So it's just one big mess, and alcohol just leads. If he was drunk, then that just leads to always going to lead to trouble.
Yeah. Well, again, I think if you listen to what had happened, I think Nash had pinned him at first, and the kid would scratch his face, and the guy, that's where Nash probably just saw red. You know what I mean? It wasn't something like, I just picked him up and just chokeslammed him out of the blue. It started into a fight that erupted and it just got out of hand. And I think that's what happened. I don't think that Nash would have done that on normal terms. Yeah. And anybody could have done that.
And how drunk do you have to be if you're 6'5", and I believe you will.
That's what the son is. Yes.
Yeah. And how drunk do you have to be to start swinging on a damn near 7'2", 300-pounder?
Actually, yeah. So
he probably. I'm not sure if he intentionally. He might have blacked the hell out from the booze as well, because something got to be. Yeah, have to have a pretty good amount of alcohol in your head to make you do that.
Yeah. So, and there it is. So Well, again, we want to know your comments. Do you think that Nash was out of control, or do you think the son's lying about what happened with his mother? Please, put your comments in the comments section below. Make sure you hit the like button, and also, make sure you follow us at any one of our video locations, whether it's YouTube, Daily Motion, and now Catch a Ride over at SoundCloud. Just follow us at HWR Show. Also, we are now over at HardcoreWrestlingRadio.com, and we're always over at Facebook.com/HardcoreWrestlingRadio. Lance, where can everyone find you at?
YouTube.com/LanceMossTV. I got album reviews, NASCAR discussion videos, redneck gourmet cooking videos, musical equipment reviews, some rants, and also you might also be able to hear the controversies and scandal from this episode on my channel in the archive of controversies and scandals, because I got them all on there as well. I don't know when I'm going to have this up, but probably going to be up.
All right. And Michael, as always, we'd like to thank you for coming on. Where can we find you, and what do you got going on?
I'd give you my YouTube URL, except for I do not remember it, and I know that's kind of sad. But just look me up on YouTube at my name, Michael LaGrange. I do mostly, I'm gonna start trying to do more reviews again of like TV shows and video games, and sometimes wrestling on my personal channel. Other than that, Twitter at Micah Viola.
All right. And of course, we have James from the Big Easy. James, what do you got going on?
I am on twitch.tv/fatboy504. I'm not on that much, but I will be back on playing like my PS4. Currently, you can also find me on Twitter at fatboy504. And currently, right now, when I'm bored, I'm playing WWE Immortals, and actually, it's an interesting game.
So for everyone here, I'm your hardcore host, Rick Head, saying we'll see you when we see you.
Thank you for listening to this edition of In the Moment. Make sure you follow us at any one of our locations, whether it's YouTube, Dailymotion, and now SoundCloud.com under the name HWR Show. Until the next time, this is your hardcore host, Rick Head, saying we'll see you when we see you.